feel like if the grassroots organizations and the education sector really work together, or the social work sector really work together in trying to make sure that every person who is at risk, especially BME LGBT individuals who are the most at risk and most unsafe of being, at risk of honor-based abuse, of forced marriage, they should be the ones that we really need to get to, because they're the ones who face the most risk. I mean, there are more risk of being killed, of being physically abused, and having no way of actually getting in touch with any authority that can do anything. Pride, to me, means hope. Hope that we can get through this. Hope that our tomorrow will be better than today. Hope that we will come through this stronger, better, and together as a community. Religion, the way it's been taught to us, the way our parents have told us, have actually created a lot more barriers. And within my own clients, I see a lot of internalized homophobia, for example, a lot of internalized transphobia, and this is about themselves.
I'm pleased to present the story of Samah Naseem from Shakti Women's Aid.
My name is Samah Naseem. My preferred pronouns are she and her. I'm representing Shakti Women's Aid. I am the outreach and MATRA project worker. MATRA is the LGBT project that we have within Shakti Women's Aid. This is to support BME individuals who identify as part of the LGBT community and are experiencing domestic abuse, forced marriages, or honor-based abuse due to their sexuality or how they identify. Working with the Women's Aid, it really showed me how unsafe the pandemic was for so many individuals, and working with LGBT BME individuals, it showed me even more how unsafe it is, because they were unable to contact or have the resources they had before, or the safe space they had before, where they could express themselves and how they feel. That was taken away from them. They were stuck in a situation where with their abusers, where they could not come out as their true self because of the danger that would surround them to do so. I work with individuals who are experiencing domestic abuse, honor-based abuse, or are at risk of forced marriages. So one of my clients is a trans boy, and he has been stuck in the house with his mom and his stepdad, who is the abuser, with basically no way of contacting the outside world or expressing himself as his true self. He had to deal with being dead named, with them using his old pronouns, and he had to just suck it up and deal with it, because he couldn't fight back or contact any organizations in any real meaningful way that could get him out and allow him the safe space to express himself. A lot of the BME LGBT individuals were unable to come to us for help, because all the traditional routes that they would come to ask for help have been shut down due to the pandemic. They weren't allowed out of the house. They weren't allowed to be on their phones or on their computers for hours and hours. It was being monitored. They were asked who they were contacting, who they were talking to. So it meant that I felt like we were not able to help as many people as we potentially could have, due to the restrictions that the pandemic placed on these individuals. To be quite honest with you, before they were at work, they had a school, the parents had other worries, extended families that they would go visit, holidays, etc. There were periods of time where the individual was able to seek help, was able to go out and not be questioned. Whereas that is not the case with the pandemic. With the pandemic, it was very clear: stay at home. You are not allowed to go out. I think the support that really needs to be in place, that there needs to be more awareness about these issues. On a very grassroots level, the schools need to be aware. All the statutory organizations need to be aware, because when it comes to especially individualized lockdowns, they're the only ones who have access to the individuals that need the most help, that feel the most unsafe. And they're the only ones that can then make the appropriate referral, but do it under the education banner. That meant that all these individuals can still have a place where they feel safe and can express themselves, and hopefully not be controlled by their parents in accessing this space during the individualized lockdown. So I feel like if the grassroots organizations and the education sector really work together, or the social work sector really work together in trying to make sure that every person who is at risk, especially BME LGBT individuals who are the most at risk and most unsafe of being, at risk of honor-based abuse, of forced marriage, they should be the ones that we really need to get to, because they're the ones who face the most risk. I mean, there are more risk of being killed, of being physically abused, and having no way of actually getting in touch with any authority that can do anything. And half the time, the authorities don't even understand the risk that is in place with these individuals. So I think more awareness of these issues would be definitely the first thing that we need to do, and for there to be a guideline on how to get these people more safety into more safe places. Right now, I feel relatively safe, I guess. I'm relatively secure in my identity. But at the same time, as a BME woman, there's also the element of knowing that the world is still very much unsafe for me. And I'm aware that it's a lot more unsafe for my clients, for the people I work with, that they have even more barriers to face than I do. They feel more unsafe. They feel like they can't express who they are to their family, and risk of being disowned, or worse, being killed or physically harmed. And the ones who have feel scared about pushing back and standing their ground about the fact that this is who I am, this is how I identify, because of the fact that it's not been accepted by the family, and they're scared of the repercussions of what would happen if they did push back even more. So they've come out of the closet, they've expressed how they feel, they've expressed what their identity is, they've expressed to the parent what their gender is, and that's just not been accepted. Trans Lives Matter movements really highlighted the systematic discrimination that these individuals face. As Shakti Women's Aid, we are constantly fighting and advocating for these individuals, and we're fighting with the system with regards to the systematic discrimination and racism that we see constantly with all our clients, whether they're LGBT or not, but more so with the LGBT ones, because you have that added barrier of not being believed, of being discriminated against, and being at higher risk of suicide, of assault, of being killed, being bullied, and of mental health, poor mental health as well. So the barriers are a lot more within BME and LGBT individuals combined than they are just individually. Not to say that they don't face barriers on their own, but combined they face a lot more barriers, especially if you look at it from an intersectionality lens, then you see it even more. So I think it's really highlighted that, and it's really highlighted what we've been saying to organizations, statutory organizations such as social work, or the police, etc. Just what we face against, and that these individuals still have rights and still deserve to be treated as human beings, regardless of what they feel. I mean, regardless of how they feel their worth is. Their worth is a lot more. They are human beings, and they deserve to be treated as such. And they deserve not to be facing these barriers, all these racism, all this discrimination. They deserve to just be believed in the first instance. It's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. The pain does not need justification. They're in pain, they need our help, and that should be enough. We should not need more than that. We should not be having to fight for them just to be seen as humans. For my clients, it meant that they were able to align themselves to these movements. They felt like for the first time they were seen and they were heard. Like, people weren't just brushing the pain away, weren't justifying what they've gone through. They weren't forced to just accept all this discrimination, the microaggressions, as that is just the way things are. They felt that there is hope, that potentially in the future things can and might be better. Pride to me means hope. Hope that we can get through this. Hope that our tomorrow will be better than today. Hope that we will come through this stronger, better, and together as a community. That is what pride to me ultimately means. Hope. That the future prides would be even bigger and better than any pride we've seen since. It's to celebrate the fact that we've come through this as a community together and we survived. We survived. There has been a lot of racism within the LGBT community with regards to being accepting of BME individuals. That is unfortunate, but I think it's something that they're working towards now. I think they're being more open towards people of color, towards people of BME, understanding that their lives are different, that their risks are different, that their experiences are different, that they cannot sit there and generalize anymore. Coming out for a BME individual means, and it's so much more riskier, I would say, than for some maybe white individuals, white British individuals. I'm not saying that's the case for everyone. I don't want to generalize whatsoever. I understand the risk is for everyone, and everyone's situation is quite individualistic in what they face. But I think within BME individuals, the risk they face from their family, from their extended community, extended family, and then obviously from the community at large. I mean, I've heard examples of LGBT BME individuals to come into the UK seeking asylum and then having to prove their sexuality, to prove that they identify with the gender they do, that the word isn't just enough. I mean, that's not good enough. That's not good. Why should you have to prove who you are? You are who you are. What you say should be enough. You shouldn't need evidence to back up your claim. So that systematic discrimination, after you've already faced discrimination at a very personal level from your families, from your extended families, from your extended communities, especially within BME, I feel like the way we've been brought up in our families, we've been told are everything. We've been told that our community is everything. And if we are in any sense of trouble, that is who we should rely on. And then in one fell swoop, when you declare your truth and you reveal who you are, all of that gets taken away from you within the LGBT community. And then that gets taken away from you as well, because they're not accepting, because they don't understand your experiences, or are not willing to understand your experiences in some cases. But I feel hope. I feel like right now, the LGBT grassroots organizations I've contacted are very much interested in creating a space for LGBT BME individuals for, fighting against the discrimination and racism they face within the LGBT community. So I feel that in the future, that won't be the case. But religion, the way it's been taught to us, the way our parents have told us, have actually created a lot more barriers. And within my own clients, I see a lot of internalized homophobia, for example, a lot of internalized transphobia. And this is about themselves, this is how they feel. And they feel they cannot express or be who they truly are because they feel their religion forbids them from doing so. I personally feel that religion just wants you to be happy. And I think all religion does not care who you love, as long as they love you back and you're a good person about it. And I think religion has just been used as a weapon to ensure that we follow the rules of our culture, of our tradition, and we don't go far away from that. Whereas I think religion at its core did not want that, never. We do not like to let go of our traditions whatsoever. I mean, look at how stubbornly our families keep a hold of the traditions back home. Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, all of these countries in some way or another have actually moved forward in a way that our parents haven't, our communities in the UK haven't. I mean, I have aunts who tell my mum that, she needs to move forward because that's not the way Pakistan is now.